On this episode of the Whiskey Tornado, we review Maker's Mark FAE-02. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Whiskey Tornado. I'm your host, Lance. Today, I am excited to review Maker's Mark FAE-02 for you. Spoiler alert, I love this bottle. Before we get into the review, let me quickly explain our scoring system to those of you who are new to the Whiskey Tornado. We have 7 categories. We rank 0 to 1, 0.5 being average. First 2 categories are handicap. Those are appearance and availability. Then we move on to the nose, palate, finish, body, and value. At the end, we add all those up. Any score of 3 or better is bar worthy, meaning it's safe to buy. You're going to love it on your bar. Any score of 4 or better is bunker worthy. You better buy some extra ones just in case the bourbon you love is no longer made. All right, with all that being said, let's get into the appearance of Maker's Mark FAE-02. All right, guys, so as far as appearance goes, I love the iconic trademarked Maker's Mark wax. I love it even more since we recently went to Louisville for a Patreon meetup and we got to dip our own bottles. I thought it was going to be gimmicky. I wasn't going to like it. I actually had a great time, and Maker's Mark is one of the best distilleries that I've toured. So if you haven't been to Maker's Mark and you get down to Louisville, make that a stop. The grounds are fantastic. They have the biggest selection in the gift shops. It's just a great place. Not to mention, I am quickly becoming a Maker's Mark fanboy. But I actually like these bottles. The only thing I would knock on the bottles is the naming. They've got to come up with something better. The FAE-02, all these like letters / numbers sounds like something from a Star Wars movie. I'm not digging it. It's hard for a lot of people to remember these things. That's the only knock I would have on the appearance of Maker's Mark bottles. But in this case, we're going to give it a 0.7 on appearance. All right, moving on to availability. These wood finishing series are not on every shelf, but you can definitely find them, especially if you know what time of year to look for them. They get swept up off the shelves, but not as fast as some of your other Buffalo Trace products. So if I want this, I'm pretty confident I can find it if I know what time to go to the stores. So we're going to give the average score 8.5. All right, guys, let's get into the good stuff. Let's get into the nose on Maker's Mark FAE-02. Man, it's gorgeous. It is really nice, guys. Rich on the first nosing. I got rich caramel. Definitely like some milk chocolate. And then there's that wonderful note of like rickhouse dustiness. It doesn't lean towards that musty, mildewy mold type note. It's just that beautiful rickhouse dustiness you smell when you walk in a rickhouse. It's wonderful. And then there's just a ton of vanilla. There's vanilla all over this stuff, like vanilla fair taffy. Beautiful. You just know this is going to be a good bourbon when you smell it. We're going to give the nose a 0.7. All right, moving into the palate. Cheers, everybody. First sip. Lots of sweetness, sweet oak and caramel. I'm not picking up any fruit notes on that first sip, and I didn't really pick up any fruit notes on the nose, which is why I didn't bump it to that like 0.8 on the nose. If I'm bumping it to that 0.8, I want baking spices, I want fruit, I want oak, I want all that stuff, and I couldn't pick up any fruit notes. So we're gonna go in for a second sip here. Cheers again. There it is for me. That's what I was looking for. That weeded bourbon cherry note that I love from Makers is there. So on the first sip, I got sweet oak and caramel. On the second sip, there was that chocolate cherry that I absolutely love. Man, it's fantastic. And this is my first bourbon of the day, so maybe that's why on that first sip I just got like sweet oak and caramel. But that second sip was full of milk chocolate and cherry, which I absolutely love. All right, let's go into the third sip. This is so beautiful. Golly, that's good. If you know what you're looking for, you can find a little bit of youthfulness in this, but God, it's so minor that like I don't think most people are gonna pick up on it at all. Really fantastic. It is just rich, sweet oak, caramel. I hate when people say baking spices because it's such a broad term, but there are spices. I just can't put my finger on it. Usually the only like baking spice I can put my finger on is either clove or cinnamon. That's not either of these for me, but there's definitely like some kind of spice there, and I can't put it into words, but it's gorgeous. We're gonna give the palate really high praise. We're gonna give it a 0.8 because it does have those baking spices, that sweet oak, fruit notes, really good sweetness to it. Man, it's fantastic. It's a 0.8. All right, let's go to the finish. Long, it's 109 proof, I believe. Yeah, 109.1 proof. Good long finish. It goes from that sweetness and transitions to like this, to this barrel spice that just dances all over your tongue. It dances so much it almost feels carbonated. Man, it's really good. Again, those baking spices are coming through on the finish. And I wouldn't say cinnamon. It's not that. I'm pretty sensitive to cinnamon. This is just like, I don't know, there's some kind of like tobacco baking spices on the finish that I freaking love it. God, it's so good. Really long finish. Better than average. We're going to give the finish a 0.7. All right, moving on to the body. So that's the color. Gorgeous color on this thing. Really viscous and mouth coating. The best thing about Makers, where Makers has really been standing out to me lately, is just the way it hits my tongue. While there's like spice and it tingles, there's also this like sweet roundness that I don't know how to even explain, but the texture of it is just so beautiful. It's all their bourbons lately are just so well-rounded and sweet. Not overly sweet, but just well-rounded, and it feels like this just great creamy texture, almost like butter, which is one of the things that's just absolutely standing out for me. And I think the body on this thing is where it shines. I could drink this all day long. I'm giving the body a 0.9 just because I love the texture. I just love the way, I know you guys are going to rag on me, but I love the way it feels in my mouth. All right, there, I said it. It's a 0.9. All right, moving on to value. This is another place Maker's Mark just absolutely shines. It's not an older bourbon. That's one of the knocks on Maker's Mark. They're not producing like super aged bourbon. That 4 to 6 range, probably, we don't really know. But the youthfulness in some of this just barely shines through. They're finishing it with these wood staves, and it's really helping. I absolutely love it. Even though it's a younger bourbon, I don't care because it's knocking a lot of 10-year stuff off the page. It's just really, really good and holds up. So the price on this was $65. I think it's a steal at $65. I'm going to rate the value better than average, even though it's a younger bourbon, but you're talking about 109 proof. It is finished in those staves, and the taste delivers. You get what you pay for. Actually, you get more than you pay for, in my opinion. So I'm going to give the value a 0.7. All right, guys, that brings the overall score of Maker's Mark FAE-02 to a 4.4. making it bunker worthy. This has been one of my favorite bourbons of the year so far. I absolutely love it. It's going to be in our bourbon of the year this year. I know a lot of you are asking, is it better than FAE-02? So for those of you that stuck around this long in the video, we are doing a special bourbon night fight. We're going to do FAE-02 against FAE-01 right now. All right, guys, we got FAE-02 on my left, FAE-01 on my right. For those of you new to the Whiskey Tornado bourbon fights, we just rank 3 categories: the nose, the palate, the finish, the stuff that really matters. So I can help you guys decide which is better. We give each winning category a point, and the winner at the end takes it all. So let's go to the nose. We're going to go FAE-02 first. God, I love the nose on these. FAE-01. Oh, interesting. In my head, before I started this, I thought FAE-02 is going to take it all day long on the nose. I'm not so sure. Golly, there's just so much richness, and I don't know if you guys can tell, but the color on FAE-02 is definitely darker than the color on FAE-01. Man. Those are really, really close. I think if I had to, I think the nose might take it on FAE-01. Boy, there's a little bit of a tobacco note when you compare the two, when you A/B compare. What I wasn't getting on the nose the first time on FAE-02 is a little bit of a tobacco note. I got it on the taste, but not on the nose. And now I think that stands through. It's a little richer, a little darker. They're close. They're very similar. Golly, that is so hard to say. It is really hard to say. I think I might give it to FAE-02 just because it's a little bit richer, and I think I'm getting that tobacco note that I'm not getting on FAE-01. For a second, though, I thought I was going to give it to FAE-01. So we're going to give the nose to 02. Let's go to the palate. Man, that sweetness, that chocolate cherry, so good. All right, on to 01. A little more spice on 01, I believe. What's the proof on these? I think they got to be pretty close. Yeah, 02 is 109.1 and FAE-01 is 110.6. You can tell, surprisingly, I think the FAE-01 drinks a little hotter. It's a little spicier. It's giving me quite a hug. Man, I'm going to drink FAE-01 first and then go to 02. Tell you guys, I want to give it a fair shake here, but I just got to wait for the finish to stop. But FAE-01 definitely tasted hotter than 02 there. Those same chocolate cherry notes. Really nice. Caramel's there. Oh, yeah. FAE-02 is just more rounded to me. Chocolate, cherry, vanilla, caramel. Again, those baking spices, a little bit of tobacco. Much more rounded, but still good spice, good hug. I mean, I'll tell you guys, I'm going to give the palate and the finish to 02. My personal preference is 02 over 01 all day long in this bourbon night fight. You know, I could see how some might like 01 better. There's no wrong answer. They're both fantastic. But if I had to choose FAE-02, that's going in our bourbon of the year running for 2021. It is fantastic. All right, guys, I hope this helped you decide what to buy, what to leave on the shelves. If you guys are in doubt about Maker's Mark FAE-02, run out and buy this stuff and probably bunker a few bottles. It is fantastic. Well done, Maker's Mark. Cheers, everybody.